folks, welcome to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, right here on the Dice Tower. Today we're going to be taking a look at this little fella right here, Big Sur. Big Sur comes in a small package, and that's not a bad thing because it's just a card game where you're trying to string together the same kinds of terrain qualities and score the most points. Throwing in some landmarks there to beef up the scoring a little bit. Let's get down to the table and take a look, shall we? So Big Sur is a game that plays 2 to 4 players, and the amount of cards that go into the deck are determined by these little icons at the bottom of the cards here. If it has 2 dots and then a 4, that card's only used in a 4-player game. But if it has a dot and then a 3 and a 4, it's only used in a 3 and a 4-player game. And then if it has a 2, 3, or 4, it means it's used in all of the different player numbers. Each person is going to get 2 cards dealt to them face down at the beginning of the game. One player is ultimately determined to be the first player, and they take this little token right here. And then you're basically ready to start after you have laid 5 cards down here in the depot, and then you have a landmark row as well where the landmark cards are put out, and there are always going to be 5 available to you. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to build your own tableau. Basically, your tableau is going to be your stretch of Highway 1 in California. The way you do that is by playing cards that have matching icons up here at the top next to each other in your tableau so that they begin to make a stretch. So basically, these 2 cards, if they're together in your row, will be a 2-icon stretch of flower and of ocean simultaneously. If you add this card to this end of these 2 cards, now you have an official stretch, because a stretch, in order to score you points at the end of the game, has to have at least 3 matching icons in there. Right now, there's only 2 flower and only 1 farmland or wheat. So that's generally what you're trying to do. Now, the anatomy of a card, so up here you have how many miles that this card is going to add to your specific stretch of either flower or ocean. Over here, you have the kind of resource that this card represents on the back side of the card. Then down here, you have the resources required to build this stretch of highway into your personal tableau. And then 2 mile cards also have a special scoring condition that's down here, and you basically read, this one says score points equal to half the miles in your longest stretch rounded down. So at a certain point at the end of the game when you're scoring cards, this is going to be another scoring condition for whomever has this in their tableau. Now, another piece of card anatomy is found on this card right here, and that is the inherent resources that card is going to give you later on in the game on subsequent turns, but these are only usable once per turn. So, for example, if you have this card in your tableau and you were trying to build this card, you would only have to basically tap that card because it can be used once per turn, and then discard a raindrop or a water card out of your hand, and you'd be able to put this into your tableau by only having to use 1 resource out of your hand. On your turn, the first thing you're going to do is take 2 highway cards. Now, when you take highway cards, you can take them from any of the 5 that are face up, or you can take ones from the top of the deck. It's whatever you choose, and you can do any combination of that as well. You can take this one and that one if you want to. Doesn't matter, but you're going to take 2 highway cards, and that's mandatory every single turn. Once you've drawn 2 cards, as you can see here, now you have the opportunity, this is non-mandatory, but you can build one of the cards out of your hand into your tableau. In order to do that, as I kind of already explained, you have to use resources out of your hand that are the same as what you find down here at the bottom of your card. So this one needs some iron and a rock. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use this card for an iron, and then we're also going to use this card for a rock, and those 2 are put into a personal discard pile, and that's important for later on, but a personal discard pile is set up, and now I can take this card and place it into my tableau. After you have built into your tableau, you then have the opportunity of taking one of these landmark cards. You can only take one landmark card per turn, and you have to meet the requirements that are shown at the bottom of the card in order for you to put that into your tableau. Just for example's sake, let's say that this was the third wheat icon that I had in my stretch. So I would be able to take this card and place it on top of a card in that stretch that matches the icons that are here. I can put it on top of the card that I just played or one of the other ones that's in that stretch. It doesn't matter. But the important thing is that each stretch can only accommodate one landmark card, and every stretch card can only accommodate one landmark card. So I would not be able to take another wheat landmark card in that same stretch. If I had another stretch of wheat somewhere else in my tableau, then I would be able to put another one there, but each stretch can only support one landmark, and each card can only support one landmark. Once I'm done taking landmark cards, that is the end of my turn, and then it's time to put new cards out at the end of your turn, not while you're taking them, and then it becomes the next player's turn. If you have a resource that you just haven't been able to get a card for, you can discard 3 cards to count as any resource that you need out of your hand. It's an expensive workaround, but it is a possibility that you can discard 3 cards out of your hand to equal any resource that you need in order to get that one that's really eluding you. Now, one other thing that we can do in order to find those resources that you need, you can always use your recycle pile. And that is basically the top card that you discarded last into your personal discard pile can be used as a recycled component in a turn. It can also be the turn that you put it down in there. But the thing is that this recycled material can only be used once per turn. Doesn't matter if you use a stone now and then you put a wood down later on. Now I'm going to use the wood because I haven't used that one yet. No, you've used the recycle pile once in your turn only, no matter if you add more to it later on in the turn. But that's another way to get resources that you may need again or something to that effect. So just to recap, you can use your recycle pile once. You can use inherent resources once per turn, and then you're also going to be using resources from your hand in order to pay for these different highway costs. And that's pretty much how the game continues, by everybody taking their turns, drawing 2 cards, possibly building, possibly taking landmark cards, and then refilling. The next person goes, and so forth and so on, until after refilling the depot here, there are no more cards left in this deck, and that will signify the end of the game. And then you go through scoring. Let me show you an example of what scoring could look like. So for this scoring example, let's just say that this is the tableau that the player built. Now, tableaus are going to have a different number of cards in them based upon what cards people are going to be able to play and so forth and so on. So this is just an example. I can't tell you if it's going to be a good example or not. I just kind of threw it together so that we could explain how scoring works. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to score your stretches. So the first stretch in this tableau is going to be the ocean stretch, and you count the miles that are on each card that make up the ocean stretch. So you have 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how many points that first stretch is worth. And then you go and you look and you see that you have this stretch here of wheat. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for that as well. And then you come over here. What about mountains? No, you don't have any 3 that are connected. Over here you have woods. So you have 1, 2, 3 here, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is worth 5 points. And then you do have a stretch of 3 icons that are over here that are going to be 3, 4, 7 points there. So all stretches have been scored, and now we do bonuses. Bonuses are those things that are found at the bottom of the 2-mile cards, and this tableau has 2 of them in here. So this one says score 1 point for each mountain icon in your highway. So you come up here and you have 1, 2. So you get 2 points for having those mountain icons in there. This one says score 1 point for each forest icon in your highway. And so then you go 1, 2, 3, and you get 3 bonus points for that card down there. Then you're going to score your landmarks. Fisherman's Wharf over here basically just says score 4 points. So we put that down there. Point Sur says score 1 point for each 3-mile card in your highway. So that is 1, 2. So that's 2 points for that one. And then this one says score 2 points or score 5 points for this card if you also have Pfeiffer Beach. We don't have Pfeiffer Beach out here, so that one gives us 2 points. And then we do the math and add all that up. This is 12, 17, 24, 26, 29, 33, 35, 37 points. And that's basically how you play Big Sur. It's not a very difficult game at all. It is all about hand management in a couple of different ways. You want to make sure that you have the right resources in your hand that you need to pay for the highway stretches that you want to add into your tableau. At the same time, though, you're also trying to get those highway cards in your hand that you want to add into your tableau. So there's a couple of facets of the hand management in this game, but that's pretty much the core mechanism here. There is some resource management in there, but your hand is your resources. But if you get some of those cards out there that have inherent resources in them, that really kind of starts to dig into the resource management of the game because each of those cards can only be used once. Kind of think about, like tapping mana cards in Magic the Gathering or something to that effect. That's what that aspect of using those resources feels like. The cool thing that I thought about it was the fact that you did have the ability to reuse or recycle some materials that you've already used with your personal discard pile. Now, you can only do the top card of your personal discard pile as a recycled resource, but I thought that was a cool little twist in order to free up how tight the resources are, because they can be pretty tight. In addition to that, they did have the additional workaround of being able to use 3 cards to equal 1 resource out of your hand. But that's really expensive, so I doubt that you'll do that more often. I think it would be more advantageous for you to basically just start thinking down a different path at that point if you're really stuck not having a certain resource that you need to build a certain card. But take that for what it's worth. But generally speaking, the things of this game are rather intuitive. There wasn't anything that was just kind of really wonky that didn't make any sense. Everything kind of flows together in a very intuitive, free-flowing gameplay that doesn't take a whole lot of time. 30 minutes is what it says on the box here, and that's just about right. So as far as pros and cons are concerned, that is going to be my very first pro. This plays very quickly, and it's a great game to start a game night on, or it can be a palate cleanser, what I usually try to call them. Those games that you play a big game and you're like, whew, okay, I got to give my brain a break for a little bit before I jump into another big game. This would fit really nicely, kind of like just like a giving your brain a nap before that next strenuous Euro game that you want to jump into. And that's what this thing really feels like. It feels very much like a filler game, but it's a fun hand management, resource management filler game that works well. It keeps those juices in your brain flowing just enough, but also provides a little bit of a break because there's really not a whole lot going on here, but it is still really fun. So it's a great 30-minute filler game for 2 to 4 players. That's my first pro. My second pro is going to be that the graphic design and iconography for this game really does well. There is quite a bit of iconography going on, but it's all very clear and it's all very intuitive, and it's not confusing. So that's the point that I'm trying to make right here, and that's the pro. Sometimes when you have a lot of iconography in a game, it just becomes a jumbled mess, and you really have to continue asking, well, what does this do, and what does this icon mean? There's none of that here. It's very simple, and really it's all about placement of those icons. All of the icons that are in the bottom, let's see, what is that? Yeah, bottom left-hand side of the card, those are all the resources you need. The icons that are in the top left corner of the card are the icons for the stretches and all of that kind of stuff. And then lower right is going to be, if there is an icon down there, it's going to be the inherent resources that it can bring you. Super simple graphic design, super simple iconography, and it really just makes the game flow that much better. So that's why it's a pro. A third pro for me is going to be the package. The package is such that this is going to probably be a nice backpack game for me. Now, the only detractor from this being a truly good backpack game is that it does have a little bit of a footprint on the table. On top of that, it's a card game, so it can't be played outside. Generally speaking, if you have any amount of wind, the cards will blow away and that kind of thing. But if you're in an inside area, this is one of those games that could easily fit into a handbag or something to that effect and be very portable or mobile for you, and that's one of the things that I like about it. My main thing for this pro, though, is that it's not a huge package. It fits well in a number of different containers or bags or something to that effect, and it has a lot of mobility to it. My final pro is going to be the fact that it is a family weight complexity game. And what I mean by that is that it's going to be palatable for a number of different kinds of people. As I said earlier, it can be a great filler game for those who like the chunkier, more grindy type games as their main source of gaming. It'll be a good filler for them. It'll also be one of those things where you can invite people who are probably not hobbyists into the game, and it gives them a very soft entrance into the world of hand management and resource management. I think that it's a neat game for that specifically. The complexity level is just right. You can use a number of different tactics and strategies while you're playing this game. And I think that's one of the benefits of it. It is not a one-way or the highway type thing, no pun intended. It is basically do what you can with the cards that you have. Use the cards that are out there, know what you need to get in order to build the cards that you have. And it has a theme that's very inviting. It's one of those things where people have a lot of memories about traveling the Pacific Coast Highway, or it's something that they want to do. And it has that enveloping, that inviting theme. Not that this is a thematic game at all, but it has a theme that is inviting and that is something that people recognize and are willing to play a game about. So that's my final pro. Now, as far as rating is concerned, I don't have any cons for the game, and that might lead you to think that this is going to be a really high rating. And I think it is going to be a high rating. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Now, the reason I didn't go higher than a 7 is because while it's a fun game, this is a great add-on. But I don't think it's going to be one of those games that you always are going to come to. You might have this on your shelf and people will say, hey, what's that? And you go, oh yeah, let's play that. You're not probably going to be taking this to a number of different play events, trying to get it played over and over and over again. But it's a good one to kind of just have on your shelf to be that attention grabber, because it does have good artwork. It does have a theme that is inviting and welcoming. So I think that's probably what it's going to be. So for that, it's a good game. Don't get me wrong at all. Just because I gave it a 7 doesn't mean that I don't think it's good. No, 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 no. I do enjoy this game a lot. That's why I'm giving it a 7 and not something lower. Now, as I called it an add-on, that's exactly what this game was. I backed this Kickstarter because of another game, and when I saw this, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to be able to use that in my gaming groups, and so I went ahead and added it on to the other game that I wanted to get. Actually, the other 3 games that I wanted to get from this campaign. But you get the idea, right? This is one of those things that it's probably not going to have much staying power in and of itself. However, it does have a good filler capacity, and that's the niche that I want this game to fill in my collection. So it's going to stay for quite some time. I really do enjoy it. That's Big Sur from 25th Century, 7 out of 10. Thanks for being here, folks. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.